Here's everything there is to know regarding the LayerZero Sybils situation and regarding their upcoming airdrop, including the token price and when to expect the airdrop. By the way, welcome to my channel. My name is Kevin and I'm on a financial journey of reaching $100,000 in assets this year. You can follow my journey here on YouTube, but I also post in Telegram every single day. The link to that is in the description. Now back to the video. So LayerZero, they have a massive issue. And the big issue with LayerZero is that they are overfarmed. So what does that mean? It means that too many people use that protocol and now they are ready to release their airdrop, but they have to send the airdrop to too many wallets or to too many addresses. And what that means is that the airdrop will be diluted because it's finite. There's a finite amount of money that they can airdrop. It's not infinite. So now they are having this issue of having to distribute their airdrop, but they don't really know how to do it right. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the big issue is because there were a lot of Sybil airdrop farmers. I have already made a video about it in detail. I went into detail about what a Sybil is, how to Sybil airdrop farm and how this stuff works. And I will make it pop up over here so you can watch that video after this one. This is basically the issue that we are having right now, is that LayerZero, they had 4.8 million users. Now, I've already discussed it in the video about Sybil airdrop farming, but there's a difference between users and actual users. Because here it will say 4.8 million users, but when we refer to users in crypto, we mean wallets. Me as a person, I can have 10 wallets. So I would present myself as 10 users. And that is kind of the issue that we are having right now. Now, when we look at LayerZero, they have raised 120 million in funding, which is really, really amazing. That is a lot of money. And they are also valuated at $3 billion. So that is probably the reason why we have seen so many people farming this airdrop. But even at this ridiculously high valuation, when you are talking about 4.8 million users, it is still going to be diluted. So what has LayerZero done to combat this? They started using on-chain analysis to try and figure out who are these Sybils, who are the people that have like 100 wallets, for example. And they are just going to discredit them and just like, nope, you don't receive the airdrop because you presented yourself as 100 wallets or as 100 users. You're not a genuine user, so you are not going to get the airdrop. Now they did multiple stages. The first stage they did was they announced self-report. They were like, hey, if you're one of these people that have a cluster of 100 wallets, please report yourself and we will give you 15% of your intended allocation, right? And the thing with that is, like, if we find you, you get nothing. If you report yourself, you get 15% of what you were supposed to get. So let's say you would make $100,000. Now you get 15 grand. A lot of these Sybils, they got scared and they actually reported themselves and be like, hey, I'm a cluster. I use this many wallets. They're like, I'm fine with getting 15% because if you're going to find me, you're going to find me. I didn't do a good job of hiding that I'm a Sybil, so just give me my 15%, I'm fine with it. So between the self-report and the initial analysis that LayerZero did, they have found 800,000 addresses. So that only reduces the users to 4 million, which is still a lot of users. Now, what we do see here is that a lot of users, what was the percentage here? Like 29% of users only did one transaction. So if you discredit those as well, that's another 1.4 million gone. And the Sybil airdrop farmers, they fall in this category, like 100 transactions, 50 transactions, 20 to 29 transactions. This is like the industrial sized Sybil airdrop farming. So let's say you discredit the one transactions and you have the 800,000 gone. So what do we have left? We have 2.5 million users left. And that is if you account for 2 transactions, right? You say 1 transaction is not enough, 2 transactions is enough. So now you are at 2.5 million users, which is a lot better. But I still believe that with 2.5 million users, the airdrop is going to be diluted. If you have not done a lot of volume or not enough transactions, your airdrop might be quite low, to be honest. Now here comes the juicy part, because now we are in the second stage, and the second stage is Sybil bounty hunting, which is basically they gave everyone all the data. You're like, hey, here are all the addresses and all the transactions they have done. So you just have the wallet address and transactions and all that stuff. And you're like, hey, you as a community, figure this out. And if you find a big cluster of more than 20 wallets, you find the cluster, you find the patterns, and you report it to us, you will get 10% of what their allocation is supposed to be, right? So these Sybils, they would get nothing, but you would get 10% of their allocation instead, which is huge, because to my surprise, there has been like some crazy reports. Like people have found some straight up Sybils. They have found it. So I expect another couple 100,000 of addresses to be discredited in this airdrop. So that will bring the total down to, I believe, around 2 million. Which is going to be a big airdrop, and it might be diluted. Because let's say you give 2 million wallets, on average $1,000. That is 2 billion. So that is really, really high. I don't see them giving away $2 billion in airdrops. I don't see it. And if they do it, the price is just going to boom down. I don't see it happening. Ideally, they would get down to 1 million. If they would get it down to 1 million, then it would be like a really great airdrop. That's what I believe. Now, the deadline for the Sybil bounty hunting, it ends on May 31, basically at midnight, UTC time. Now, let's go over some of those. Okay, so this is the co-founder and CEO of LayerZero, and he has posted quite a few questions, and he has posted some reports and all that regarding the LayerZero Sybil update. So his Twitter account is a good way to find up-to-date information about the current situation with LayerZero. Here is a prime example of a Sybil. And this is one of the reports that came in with the Sybil hunting. So someone put in this report and it's like, hey, this is a clear Sybil. I have found this. Please give me the 10% of this person's allocation. So how many wallets are we talking about? 11 addresses? No, it looks to be a lot more. No, that's a lot more. Those are a lot of wallets. But yeah, this is like a huge Sybil report put in from the bounty hunting. Now here's another one, and these are like 1,000 wallets. Can someone explain the Sybil cluster to me? So there are some issues with Brian's methodology sometimes, because here he shows a cluster of about 1,000 wallets, and he's like, hey, everyone, they deposited exactly this amount on base. So that's one of the ways that he would identify a cluster, is like, hey, you funded your wallets with exactly the same amount around the same time. Now here's the problem. This was an airdrop. It was like a gas refund or something, right? So everyone received the same amount of Ethereum back to their wallet, and now you're like, hey, this is weird. Everyone, their wallet got funded with the same amount at the same time. They are all Sybils. There's no pattern. There is no clear pattern between each of these except for this amount, and it was an airdrop. This is like a huge problem that I have with his methodology, because he tries to reinvent the wheel. It's actually extremely hard to find clear Sybils if you do it correctly. If you create multiple wallets and you farm an airdrop with multiple wallets and you do it correctly, there's no way they can find you. So this will be legitimate users that would be discredited if he didn't post this on Twitter. Because Twitter told him like, hey, this is an airdrop. He removed them from the list. So he literally put them on the Sybil list. And they were legitimate users. So this is like a huge problem right now. And I strongly believe that something like that is going to happen with this airdrop. There is going to be some sort of big drama of legitimate users being discredited because of an airdrop or something. Now here's another example. Because look, I'm telling you, I told you a few times already in this video, and sometimes when I talk to people in groups and stuff, they don't fully understand it, that this airdrop is overfarmed. Because they are just blindly hating on certain stuff. Or they are just blindly saying, hey, just give us all the fair thing, just stop all this bullshit, just give us a fair thing. You can't. There isn't enough money. They're not the Federal Reserve. They can't print money out of thin air. That's not how this works. So now he's like, hey, here's an interesting question. A user, a real case, takes 2 Ethereum and spins it across layer 2s every 10 minutes, every week or so, for 15 total transactions and 300,000 total volume. And he's like, he's confident it's a real user, it's not an industrial Sybil, and it's non-durable. What should his allocation look like? I obviously voted for give him the full amount. Like, I can't... You want to discredit him? Like, the bottom one is nothing. Or a reduced amount? Why? You had no issues using that data and going to the VCs and get funding, right? You create these statistics that look great. Look at all these amazing users we have. Wow, and look at all this transaction volume, and wow, and that's how you get your evaluation of 3 billion. And now you're like, well, you breached back and forth, you went from there, back. It's like, yeah, and he's a real user, and then said about how he used your protocol, he used your protocol. Like, his intent shouldn't matter. He's not an industrial Sybil. Like, I'm now scrolling on his feed. This is the second time I'm pissed off about him. It's not a good idea. And this is like the biggest... Damn it, I'm fucking pissed off. I'm pissed off. Now here's another example he posted. Now all these wallets were funded with the same amount from Wormhole. So I don't know how you can classify this as a Sybil because there is not enough data. They were all deposited from Wormhole. Okay, who was the source? Was it an airdrop again? Was it a gas refund? Because those things happen. It can be a gas refund. They only used like 1, 2, 3, what do I see? He didn't name the columns, but I believe these are the total transactions or chains, something like that. These must be the transactions and the chains, something like that. But they've only done like 1, 2, 3, 4 transactions. That's not enough to label them as a Sybil. If you have only done 2 transactions, how do you know? Okay, here he shows it. Funding block user funding amount from Wormhole. Okay, so now I believe it is clear. This one's clear. So they have done a ton of LayerZero transactions, because here you see the number of transactions, which is like 300, like a ton. And the average transaction amount was like $6. So basically super cheap. So yeah, this would be a Sybil. This is like industrial Sybil farming. You use a small amount of money and you just ramp up transactions. You're just like, hey, I don't want to qualify on volume because I don't have a lot of money, but I want to qualify on the transaction amount. So I'm just going to do a ton of transactions that are only worth 6 cents. And I'm just going to keep doing it over and over and over again, 300 times to 400 times. And then I will get the airdrop. This is like a clear Sybil airdrop farming. I have no issues with that. Discredit him. Here's another one. I think this is the exact same one that I showed in my previous video about Sybil airdrop farming. This was also clearly a Sybil. So now let's talk about the price. What can we expect as the token price? And here we see on the pre-market, the last trade was $5.68. Now I believe Whales Market also has a token that was also about $5. So that's actually a really, really good price. The problem is I don't really know what the token allocation is, because clearly someone has that information, else they would not be able to put a price on it. What will be the circulating supply? What will be the total supply? No idea yet. Now we are looking at Whales Market and the price is $5.85. So that's good. That is a nice price. I like this price. Like, I really do. Problem is we don't know the allocation yet. And the crazy part is about Whales Market, like someone knows, because someone is already trying to sell some of their allocation that they don't have yet. But yeah, the pre-market is looking amazing. $5.85. Glorious. Imagine you get 1,000 LayerZero per wallet. You get like 10,000 of them. Oh. Yeah. This gives me hope. It gives me hope. It really does. Now let's talk about when to expect this airdrop. When can we expect this airdrop? Now the month of June, there are a few airdrops that I'm excited for. Obviously there's LayerZero that I'm just discussing. There's also ZK Sync and Blast. So ZK Sync is at the middle of June or around the middle of June. I believe it was the 13th or the 16th. I can't remember exactly what the leak said, but it was around the middle of June. And then we have Blast, and Blast will be around the 26th of June. That will be near the end of June. Now, when can we expect LayerZero? I believe we can expect it near the middle of June as well. Now, I know, I would love to have it earlier as well. I want it tomorrow. I want it now. Like, give it to me now. I want the airdrop. But the thing is, they are still doing the bounty hunting, or the Sybils bounty hunting, and that ends on May 29. Then they still have to go through all the data of the bounty hunting, and they have to figure out all that stuff. So it's going to take time. And the 29th is on a Thursday. And they don't work on a weekend, probably. I'm not sure if they will go through the data on the weekend. So we're already looking at the first week of June will be gone. So it will be the second week of June soonest. The soonest. So that's why I'm saying middle of June. Before or after ZK Sync, around the same time, a day in between, a week later, like in between ZK Sync and Blast, that would be great. But these are like the 3 big airdrops for this month or for June, so we will be eating good. Going to order some caviar, going to have some good food, have some Wagyu beef, enjoy the fruits of my labor. Anyway, this video has been long enough. Thank you guys for watching, and I see you guys tomorrow.